I think you've already heard that Kishimoto and Ikemoto went to France, and there was an interview with them there. So let's discuss everything that happened there. The first question was directed to Kishimoto regarding what was the most difficult part of collaborating on the recreation of Boruto. Kishimoto responded that the hardest part was making a decision regarding one of the main characters, since he and Ikemoto had different views on what should happen to this character. Ikemoto was persuasive and insisted, which led to the outcome we now see. It's unclear which character they're referring to. Maybe we'll learn more in another interview. Also, it's unclear whether they were talking about a character from the Naruto anime or Boruto. It could be that they were considering the death of Naruto or Sasuke, but a different decision was made. Or, on the contrary, they were supposed to be a more significant part of the story. It remains unknown. The second question is, how do Kishimoto and Ikemoto work together? To which Kishimoto responded, in the case of Boruto, I initially wrote the general outline of the story, but very superficially. Then we organized a meeting where everyone discussed it. The story of Boruto primarily belongs to Mr. Ikemoto. Ikemoto himself also answered this question. At first, Mr. Kishimoto really did share his story with me, but the further we progress, the more the plot deviates from what was originally planned. Nowadays, I discuss the next part of the story with my editor every month, so I think even Mr. Kishimoto doesn't know what will happen next, and Kishimoto himself said that he just enjoys reading. So, if you've ever wondered why Boruto is so different from Naruto, you should understand that we have two different authors, which is why there is such a big difference and so many plot holes. This is also why the data book, which fans often like to rely on, is being rewritten. There's even a debate online about whether female shinobi can wear heels, but many argued that it's possible because they use their chakra to stick themselves to the ground, and this was confirmed by Ikemoto himself when he was talking about Sarada. So, you shouldn't fully rely on the databook right now, as Ikemoto is rewriting the story according to his vision, and Kishimoto is simply enjoying it, saying that he likes being the first to read the Boruto manga since it's sent to him first. Kishimoto trusts Ikemoto, and he has practically nothing to say when it comes to making decisions about the plot. When he receives the storyboard, he very rarely makes any significant changes, but in my opinion, it would be better if he changed some things. Now we understand who is responsible for all the plot twists in the Boruto manga, who is behind the events involving the old characters, and why their abilities have simply been forgotten. There was a question that I liked. It concerned the first scene we saw in the manga and anime, where Boruto and Kawaki were standing on the ruined faces of the Hokage. I really like this scene. Ikemoto said that the idea belonged to Kishimoto, and initially, this scene wasn't supposed to be in the manga at all. The story was supposed to start just like in the movie, but Kishimoto suggested inserting an adult Boruto at the beginning of the story. Because of this, Ikemoto had to quickly come up with designs for the adult versions of Boruto and Kawaki. Now, based on this response, we can understand why the design in the first scene and after the time skip in the Boruto manga is different. Let's go back to Kishimoto's answer to the same question. I didn't think much about this choice, but I felt that starting with adult characters would make readers wonder how everything led to this point. From the perspective of sparking interest, it was an effective move, but I admit at that time I didn't have any specific ideas for how to continue this narrative. While working on Naruto, I got used to working in a weekly format. The deadline for drawing was very tight, so I just introduced ideas into the plot as they came without fully understanding what to do with them next. But thanks to this habit of Kishimoto's, both the Boruto anime and manga managed to capture all of our attention. It's clear that he has experience in how to draw attention to a story. There was also a question about which character design Kishimoto likes most from Ikemoto's work. He answered that it was Sarada, because she is sexy, and he wouldn't have been able to do so. Although in my opinion, Kishimoto is underestimating himself, as he has created quite a few interesting characters. This is confirmed by Ikemoto himself, who says that he, in turn, really likes the character Jiraiya, and in terms of design, Madara and Kakashi. Kishimoto asked why, and we got the answer that you can tell at first glance that they are unusual characters, and they give off a sense that they are special. Well, in my opinion, this is obvious because if you want to create an interesting character, you need to add many details that set them apart from the rest. Due to Kishimoto's comment about Sarada, there was some discussion on Twitter. After all, he essentially said that she is sexy, and she's only 15 years old. So, we condemn this. But perhaps the creator of Naruto expressed himself differently, as his perspective differs from ours. So let's hope that Kishimoto doesn't get cancelled over such remarks. The next question was about creating a long manga and what it's like to work on such a massive story. Kishimoto replied that it was physically exhausting, and he didn't have enough strength to maintain a high level of quality all the time. There were tough periods, and he faced questions that were very difficult to answer. If Ikemoto hadn't taken the reins of the Boruto story, nothing would have continued. Ikemoto also answered this question. When working on a long-term manga, you need to keep up with the times and consider trends. The script changes a lot, and now it's quite far from the original idea. For example, Code was supposed to die a long time ago, and the character Kashin Koji originally wasn't supposed to be be involved in Amado's escape to the Leaf Village. But all of this makes the manga more interesting. I'll share my opinion on Code. It's very noticeable that they don't know how to develop this character, and now it's clear why, since he was supposed to die long ago. And judging by everything, the script changes constantly to suit new trends and some fashion that Ikemoto sees. Kishimoto was also asked if he wanted to develop any character better in the Naruto anime, to which he replied affirmatively. Sakura is the only character whose parents were never drawn. Kishimoto drew them only for the movie, but they were never in the manga. He wanted to draw them but missed the moment, and by the middle, closer to the end of the story, it was too difficult to introduce them into the plot. I'll again share my opinion and say that it would have been a great idea to show us Sakura's parents. But even now, it's not too late to do so, as they are still alive. At least there is no information that they have died. Sarada is one of the main characters, and for some reason, she has never visited her grandparents, and they don't even seem to be in any group photos. Therefore, Kishimoto has the entire Boruto story to correct the mistake of the past and reveal Sakura's parents through Sarada's story. And in my opinion, the most interesting question was to Ikemoto about how he relates to fashion. After all, we see how fashionable our characters are, with ninjas in high heels carrying out their missions. The author of Boruto replied that, for him, how people dress reflects their own self-perception. Sarada has such a large jacket that it falls off her shoulder, but in reality, this jacket is Boruto's favorite brand, so she bought it when he left the village. Here, in my opinion, there was a hint that Sarada is in love with the main character. Ikemoto then began to reason about Boruto's fashion sense and why he has a style similar to Uchiha. He says that Boruto bears a great responsibility. He respects Sasuke and always wants to be like him. Boruto is very particular about his appearance. Since he is a privileged and wealthy boy, he wears his master's clothes. Kawaki, however, never thought about such things. He wore whatever Amato gave him. Therefore, he doesn't particularly care about his appearance and only wears what Ada orders him to buy. From this answer, we understand that fashion is a significant part of life for Ikemoto, as he sees a person's character reflected in it. But in my opinion, shinobi are people who conceal their presence, blending into the crowd among others. They go on missions, not on the runway. Therefore, some of the flamboyant outfits do not align with the vision of the shinobi world that Kishimoto showed us. Even considering that the world is changing, shinobi should still remain ninjas, hidden and not standing out in the crowd or anywhere else. But that's just my opinion. There was also a question about the differences in character development between Naruto and Boruto anime. This question was directed at Kishimoto, to which he responded that Naruto is a boy who started with nothing and eventually gained everything. Boruto, on the other hand, is a boy who has everything but has lost it all and will have to live with that. Boruto has something of Sasuke in him because he also lost everything, just like Uchiha. And like Naruto, he will do whatever it takes to get what he wants. Well, we've already discussed many times on the channel the similarities between Boruto and his father and teacher. The main character embodies traits that both characters had. Another question was about the differences in the relationships between Naruto and Sasuke and Boruto and Kawaki. The answer was as follows. Naruto and Sasuke are different on the outside, but deep down, they are similar. Both of them experienced loneliness, and that's what unites them. Boruto and Kawaki are completely different. They have nothing in common. Here, Ikemoto adds, in the relationship between Naruto and Sasuke, Naruto, as the main character, shows attachment to Uchiha and reveals himself. But in the relationship between Boruto and Kawaki, it's rather Kawaki who shows his attachment to Boruto. In my opinion, Kishimoto doesn't see the characters he created, and Kawaki is a complete copy of Naruto if Naruto had never been loved or accepted. There was also a question about what Ikemoto's and Kishimoto's favorite animals are. Kishimoto's favorite is Gamabunta, and Ikemoto's is Kashin Koji's toad because it's actually a scientific ninja tool. With the development of AI, they say that robots will have a soul. This always reminds me of the toad. And if not the toad, then Mitsuki's snake, says Ikemoto. Additionally, they were asked if Kishimoto and Ikemoto had any advice for young mangaka. Kishimoto says that it won't always be enjoyable, but try to find something you like, because he believes that it matters. Regardless of the effort you put in, it's felt when someone enjoys it, and that always makes you strive for more. It's a driving force, says Kishimoto. I can rephrase this by saying, be like Naruto and find your son. Ikemoto responded that you should add what you like to your manga. For example, many comment on Sarada's outfit, but Ikemoto loves it, so he continues to use it. Or for example, girls wearing high heels even though they are ninjas. It's a fresh perspective, and she has excellent chakra control. Why shouldn't she wear them, says Ikemoto. I would continue to do what I like because it makes me do my best. There were many more questions, but let's wait for the full release of the interview so we can watch it and get acquainted with the original source. Because everything we're discussing now is just small excerpts. The conclusions are obvious. The Boruto manga belongs to Ikemoto, and he changes the story as he sees fit. If you were comforting yourself with the thought that Kishimoto has some say, there's no need to be comforted. He hardly decides anything, and he's happy with everything. He entrusted the production of this story to Ikemoto. The most he can do is add some idea, and that's about it. The way the characters develop is up to Ikemoto himself. There were also comparisons that the villains are not as well thought out as in in Naruto, which Ikemoto partially agreed with. There weren't any really interesting questions in my opinion, like where did Hinata's chest go? Why didn't Sasuke get his arm back? Where is the sage's power for Naruto and Uchiha? And will Otsutsuki Senshi appear in the canon? As for the Jogan, we didn't learn anything new. The only thing noted by those who were there is that Kishimoto hasn't aged at all in 10 years. Apparently, he is the true leader of the Otsutsuki, using karma, and Ikemoto was very fashionable, dressed in Tokyo style. That's all I found. We'll wait for more news. I want to read your opinions in the comments. Good luck to everyone.